I cannot believe that we're already in the back half of 2024.
Are you kidding me?
But here we are. Before you know it, the calendar will be turning again, and that means we are already getting ready for 2025 conferences, and one that I'm personally very excited to attend again is the Insights EDU conference. If you care at all about growing enrollment and building a student-centered higher ed experience, you really should be at this conference. Registration is now open, so secure your spot while early bird pricing is still available. Visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register. That's visit insightsedu.com for more information and to register.
Hey everybody, this is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience, and today we are extremely excited to announce our paid subscription service. By subscribing today, you will get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we do what? You know what I'm going to say. Where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode that I know will be great because I had a chance to talk to my guest just before we hit the record button, and I can tell you she's bringing the fire. So we'll get into it in a minute. I want to remind everybody, if you have not yet picked up a copy of Commencement, the Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education, a book I wrote with my co-author, Kate Colbert, that profiled the first 125 college and university presidents that we interviewed on this podcast, please pick one up on Amazon, or you could order 1,000 copies if you want to contact me. I sell them by the 1,000. That's how popular the book is. No, really, if you want to pick one up on Amazon, go ahead. And we would appreciate your support. Of course, if you've been following us, we just started a subscription service to help sustain the podcast. We're going to have just little mini episodes only for subscribers that dive into a particular topic or talk to our guests about what they see for the future. And we thank you for your support of this podcast as I say this on every episode now, but we're marching really quickly to 1,000 episodes, which I don't know if there's any podcast that covers education in the world that has done anything quite so crazy as that, doing 1,000 episodes in about 4 years, interviewing close to 300 college and university presidents, CEOs and COOs from all across the land, people doing amazing things in higher education. But I don't have to tell you that. Maybe that's why you listen. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate that you want to learn and that you learn through EdUp. And we have something cool coming, you guys. I don't want to tell you, I don't give too much away, but you know the popularity now of GPTs, right? Chat GPT and Claude, and you have all these GPTs, everybody's searching. But what if a podcast with 900 plus episodes came up with a GPT where you could search all of the amazing insights from those guests and what they said and the quotes and the future of higher education? Wouldn't that be cool? If only somebody could do it. Elvin Freitas, my co-founder, if you're out there, figure that out. That's not my expertise. What my expertise is to interview amazing leaders here in education, higher education, and education-adjacent industries doing great work to help people, especially people who really need the help, people of color, lower economic backgrounds, not leaving people behind. That's where we are. That's where we need to be. And so I've got an amazing guest with me today. She's sent me a message via Zoom right now to just be quiet because I'm talking too much. She didn't really say that, but I'm going to bring her in right now. Here she is. Ladies and gentlemen, she is the one and only Teri Williams. She's the president and COO of OneUnited Bank. Teri, welcome to an EdUp Mic. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me, Joe. It's good to be here.
Could you imagine that anybody could talk that fast for 2 minutes and get all that
I know. I was listening. It was fabulous, though.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
amazing what you've done. And so
Thank you.
I hats off to you. So,
Thank you. And in my sleep, I do this. I'm meaning like literally as I'm dreaming, I feel like I'm podcasting. But you're not dreaming. Your dreams are becoming a reality. And I'm going to ask you how in the world you could handle being president and COO. But that's going to be my second question. My first question is, tell us about OneUnited Bank. Give us the about us that our audience needs to know.
So OneUnited Bank is the largest Black-owned bank in the country. We are actually in 3 cities, Boston, Miami, and LA, but we're also a digital bank. We are an FDIC insured bank, but also a digital bank, and 90% of our customers come to us online. Our focus, we're a CDFI, or a community development financial institution. So our focus is really building low to moderate income communities. And financial literacy is not only part of our mission, it's also my passion.
Okay, so let's go through this real quickly. So a community development financial institution, is that like a federal designation of some kind, or that allows you to do certain things that other banks can't do?
Yes, it's a federal designation that is actually a result of what we do, which is that 60 to 70% of our loans go to low to moderate income communities. And that's sort of the test, and it's a U.S. Treasury designation.
Amazing.
Good for you, first of all, and congratulations on what I am sure is not an easy expansion, right? I would guess that running a bank is not the easiest thing in the world. I always say that I always used to joke that other than tax accounting and banking, higher education has the most regulations. But banking is one of those areas that has more regulations than most other industries out there. How has the journey been for you? What's it been like? I mean, talk to us about it.
So we actually are 4 banks that were combined into one. And they were all Black-owned banks, Boston Bank of Commerce in Boston, People's in Miami, and Founders and Family, or the name of the banks, in LA. I'm in LA at the moment. And we acquired those banks because they really were too small to invest in the technology that's needed today. And so by combining them, we became one, and we changed our name to OneUnited. This was over 20 years ago. But what we've done is really built this incredible digital foundation. We were fortunate to make the investment when, the whole world went from mainframes to servers. And so we were really able to build it on a modern platform. Yes, banking is very difficult and becoming more difficult. It's not just regulation. It's also really ensuring and helping people become their better selves, to really help them with their financial matters and really elevate their financials. So it is difficult, but it's also very rewarding. I love it. I wake up every day and, I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life.
I told you she was going to bring the fire, everyone. That's how you know when you can wake up every day and go to work and love what you do. That's where that's where the passion really is built. And in higher education, we talk about this all the time. We have so many community colleges, private colleges, really any college, wanting to serve more students, particularly those that are from the new majority, lower economic backgrounds, students of color. And it's not easy. There's a lot, we talk about education. There's a tremendous amount of education that has to go into the financial aspects of life to get to families and students, older students or whatever, to the point where they go, yes, I'm going to go back to school. Like there's an understanding of just how money moves and how it affects me. Can you just talk about the necessity of financial education and maybe where we're behind?
Yeah. So I'm going to actually use my personal story to sort of share. So I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I was fortunate enough to go to Brown University on a scholarship, and also went on to Harvard Business School on a scholarship. And really, as a child, could not figure out why some people had money and other people didn't. I just couldn't figure it out. I sort of looked around. I mean, my family worked, and we saved, we bought a home, and, we were doing okay, but there were clearly people that were doing better. And I just could not figure out what this thing was called money. And what I have learned since then, of course, from, majored in economics, our business school, all that kind of stuff. But what I learned is that it's really important to start educating children. It's really important to start at a young age. And when I was going to school, even though I didn't fully understand it, I had home economics. That was back in the day when home economics was taught in schools.
Yep.
And now that it's like, it's America almost forgot, to teach, money to our kids. And so it's really up to us, whether it's banks, whether it's higher education, whether it's high schools, whether it's municipalities, it's really up to us to really go back to educating our kids about money. Because it really is important that they start with a foundation that helps them to avoid mistakes.
Yeah, that's so much of what you're saying. Perspective, understanding. Do you think, where are we going wrong? All right. So is there, let's go back to your personal story. What was it? Was there not enough money around? Was it mismanagement of money? Was it just a lack of understanding of how it comes in, how it goes out, and maybe your parents not connecting you to, or whoever was in your life connecting you to, money and what happens with it? So you just, some of us just go through life and then we wake up in college or wherever and go, oh, let me just get this credit card,
Yeah, well, for me, it was actually the opposite of that. My great-grandmother was a businesswoman. I didn't even realize that until I was, years, in fact, fairly recently. I'm like, wow. We called her Ma Honey. Her name was Annie Coachman. Yeah. Her name was Annie Coachman. And she owned a penny candy store where I used to work. She owned what's called a juke joint in the South. It's like a, a bar club. She owned a barbecue pit where she used to barbecue on the weekends and sell. She owned a bunch of real estate.
Wow.
I used to go with her to collect rent. So she in this small town, Indiantown, Florida. White people lived on one side, Black people lived on the other. She had a huge business that really is why I am who I am today.
Tell them like it is.
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time. And so when I got to Brown and when I got to Harvard Business School, I already knew how businesses were run. It had been a part of, our family for generations. In fact, if it wasn't for her, my dad was able to go to high school when there wasn't even a high school for Black students. He was able to go to Palm Beach to go to the only Black school that was there. So there was a tremendous amount of knowledge, but there was discrimination. And that was real. Yeah, and that was real. So that was one thing, and that has held us back. But I would also say it's an opportunity, particularly for Black folks, because as I always say, we all have a Ma Honey in our lives. We have a tendency to forget, who are those people whose shoulders we're standing on. And I say to young kids to, find the Ma Honey, the person that you've learned from and that you can learn from. So I was always a saver. I was always, figuring out how to make money. That was a part of our family. I just didn't have the academic tools for it. It was more, sort of, real world experience as opposed to how do I elevate this to the next level. I would say the other thing is that the way we teach needs to be more practical.
Yes. Go into that a little bit.
Yes. So if I say to a community, I have this great course on financial literacy that we're going to be teaching at the bank. In fact, we've done this all the time. And, a few people show up. It's just, it appears to be an academic exercise. People can't relate to it. Whereas
they're going to feel
if
lectured to. They're going to feel lectured. Like,
to,
you
yes,
need to handle your money
exactly.
better, right?
Exactly. Whereas if I share with them little tidbits of knowledge that sort of nudge them along the way, something that says, seems like you have some extra money in your in your checking account that you should move to savings. Or, by the way you're spending, you're going to run out of money before your next paycheck comes, or you spent a whole lot of money on small purchases that have added up to a lot of money.
Yeah.
We all, whether it's, a nickel here, a dime here, a dollar here, $3 here. Next thing you know, by the end of the month, you spent $100 on small purchases. Things like that sort of are educational, but that are practical. And I think that's one of the ways in which we can improve the way we educate in general, is to figure out ways. And some schools have done that. I think of like Northeastern in Boston. They have a really good co-op program.
Yes, they do.
And some schools, community colleges are doing a really great job of educating in a very practical way. I mean, there are some individuals that want to learn academically, want to learn, about theory and want to figure out ways to sort of improve theory. But there are a lot of people that are much more practical, and that's where I think we need to meet them.
Learning is always faster with the right tools.
You're just hitting on so many things. Back in the day when coming up, I don't know that I had a good grasp, but you're making me think. Who's the interviewer here, you or me? You're making me think about my childhood now, and I'm going, man, I don't know. I think my parents were we were like lower middle class, probably. My dad worked hard. Mom worked. She worked, waiting tables on the weekends. I ended up going back to school. And then I got to college, and the first thing I did is get a credit card. I don't know what was missed. Like, I remember being able to write a check, but when I saw that I had this pathway to an unlimited wallet, I mean, what was an APR and what did I care? So I took out a credit card, which of course you can't do any on college campuses anymore. So I was in the old style. It took me, 12 years to pay that off. I mean, I think it was 28 or 29 by the time I paid that off out of college. And it wasn't until I got to 26, 28, close to 30 where I was making enough money where I could chunk that sucker down. So that $11,000 loan I had was probably $70,000 by that time. Right. So there's so much that can hurt if you're not prepared right for it. And then this comes to higher education, where even federally, when you get the option to take federal loans, right, the government doesn't say, here's exactly what you need for you to pay for your tuition. They say, you can take out as much as $30,000 to pay for this $20,000 in tuition. And so many students take the full $30,000 and not the $20,000 they need. And now that's going to accrue interest. It's going to be so on and so on. And the only way to solve that is to solve it when you're young. And it's really hard to solve it when you're older. Can you talk about some of the initiatives that you are putting forward, how you think about financial literacy, the contests maybe that you have, not pushing you along, but,
No. So
calling all higher ed marketing and enrollment management professionals. Hear. The Insights EDU conference is back. This is your chance to level up your marketing and enrollment management strategies, and the EdUp Experience podcast will be there once again. Join us at the Ritz-Carlton, New Orleans, February 12th through 14th for an unforgettable conference. Registration is now open with early bird pricing.
Outstanding.
Hey, everybody. This is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Are you enjoying the conversation so far? Good. I hope so. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early before anybody else and ad free, so you don't have to hear my voice during these ads? And did you also know that you could get extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. So go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and become a subscriber today. First, you got to sign up to our free email newsletter, and then you'll find out how to become a subscriber. Again, go to edupexperience.com.
We realized again that we needed to start young, but also really cover all the ages. But I'm going to talk about the youth. We've had a contest called the I Got Bank contest. First of all, I wrote a book.
Yes, you
called
did.
I Got Bank. called I Got Bank. Yes.
And we urge everyone to pick up the book. And where could we get a copy of that book? Amazon, I would guess.
Yes, Amazon. But you can also just go to our website, and I'm not trying to. You can get it for free.
You
don't have to pay for it.
What's the website?
OneUnited.com/book. OneUnited.com/book. You can download a copy for free.
Ooh.
And the reason that we did that is because we wanted to make it available to as many people as possible. And the book is about, a young Black boy who has saved a lot of money because his granddad taught him how to save. And his mother, his brother, and his sister are trying to spend his money.
Surprise!
There's
always somebody that wants to spend your money in there.
Yes. And I can say in a lot of families, and particularly Black families, there's usually one that's doing okay. In fact, if you're fortunate, there's one. And then everybody else is trying to, sort of glob onto that one person. And that one person is, basically treading water. So this young boy is trying to figure out how to help his family because he doesn't want to say no. He saved $2,000. How does he help his family and at the same time still save? And through this process, he learns about credit scores. He learns about savings. He learns about check systems records. He learns about compound interest. He learns so many things. He learns about banking and what a bank is. And this book, which is a fun read, it's an easy read, but it teaches all the basics about money. But we've used this book to do this contest. We're in our 14th year. We have 100 winners. Winners win $1,000 savings account. And we actually did a survey of the winners, and all of them, like 90% of them, has says that it just really changed their life and has been invaluable. And it really shows us the power of, sort of teaching kids when they're young. This contest is for 8 to 12-year-old, which is a really good age. Middle school is a really good time to start to educate kids about money. But we also have online financial literacy courses for all ages. Our elders also need it to avoid elder abuse, which is a real issue in all communities.
Right.
And, where young people take advantage of their great-grandparents or their grandparents because their grandparents or great-grandparents have saved some money. So we have a lot. And if you go to OneUnited.com again /learn, you have all of these tools, modules, podcasts, ways to take in financial education that is incredibly valuable.
So
I say to
I'm
people,
a university president out there right now,
yes,
and I'm thinking about, what are the resources out there where I can bring into my university and help teach financial literacy? You're basically saying you've got the resources hanging out there for free.
Yes, absolutely. We also did a partnership with Marvel Comics and Visa. And we used the Black Panther character to do a comic book that educates. Again, you go to OneUnited.com/book, you can see it, but to educate kids in a way that, well, not even just kids, because adults like comic books too.
Tell me where it is, because I'll read it too, because I love Marvel.
Yes, exactly. But it's a great tool. Comic books are a great tool to use. But again, it's sort of meeting everyone where they are. Some people like podcasts. We have that. Some people like modules, online learning. Some people like books. I mean, it really is trying to find ways and new and interesting ways, not the same old way. It's like what you're doing, not the same old way.
Not the same old way, for sure. I don't do things the same old way. And I respect people that are doing things differently. What kind of impact do you think you're having out there? But anecdotally, if you want to provide stats, but, obviously giving loans to I think you said 60 to 70% of loans to students, to people from
low to moderate income. Yep. Low to moderate income.
What is that?
We've done almost $1 billion, by the way.
Wow.
We've done almost $1 billion and had almost no losses, because that's the other thing, almost no credit losses. So, we look today, from when we started, which was 25, 30 years ago. The bank's actually generations old, but when we started to change it to OneUnited Bank and become Black America's Bank, when we think about when we started that journey, financial literacy was not a thing. Black banks were not a thing.
Right.
Buying Black was not a thing. DEI was not a thing. It really, because we have been pushing this for so long, we are so thrilled that it has now become a thing and that people are recognizing that, this is important. And not only are they recognizing it, some states are starting to require it, financial education be taught in schools. We think all states should require it, not just say it's available, but actually require a course in high school, even elementary school, that shares the basics about money. Because when you think about it, I haven't, well, I don't want to be negative about biologists, but I haven't solved the biology. I haven't solved the biology problem like ever,
Well, let's start the insanity.
I'm solving money problems like all the time. Everyone is. Do I buy this? Do I buy that? What bill do I pay? Do I buy a house? Do I not buy a house? Do I get a credit card? Do I not get a credit card? These are all decisions that we all have to make.
You're so right. That's amazing. And I've had this conversation with folks before. Why isn't the thing that affects us in every way for the rest of our lives, which is money and what's more important, happiness or money? Does money buy happiness? Can you be happy without money? Let's just say there is some intertwining of those things. Why it feels like there's nothing in school we could learn that would be more important than how to handle your economics and your personal finances, not the finances of macroeconomics of a blah, blah, blah company and so on. But like, how does this affect me? And right. I just don't understand why that's not the most required course on the face of the earth. I just don't get it.
No, I agree with you 100%. And again, when you say the impact, we believe that we are having an impact that is a movement, really, to start requiring it in schools. It was just signed into law in Florida. California is considering it, or it's getting ready to be a requirement in California. We're working on Massachusetts. So I do believe that it will be required across all states eventually. But it is something that we're passionate about, and we're really moving to have not just banks, but corporations and elected officials start to really push.
Do you do anything with like incubation or entrepreneurship programs? Like, I'm thinking about HBCUs out there, and if I'm an HBCU president, which I would have no chance of being, obviously, but if I was, I'd be going, man, I'd like to bring in OneUnited Bank to help finance some of these Shark Tank ideas my students are going through. Yeah.
So that is one area that we are not focused on, and there's a reason. Our focus is building wealth largely through real estate, because we see the increase in the value of real estate, particularly in Black communities. And we're trying to help people stay in their homes or, remain in their neighborhoods when their tendency is to flee.
Well, because they've lived. You know what? I love that, because we talk about, in a higher education context, you're not going to do well academically if you can't eat and you don't have a place to live. And homelessness or having a stable home life is the precipice. There's really two things. Can you afford to live, and do you have a place to live? Right. And I love that angle, because if you're stable at home, you can be stable everywhere else.
Right. Yes, and everyone needs a place to live. So when you go down the entrepreneurial route, which we support in other ways, but what we found is that it impacts a smaller percentage of our community, whereas the majority of our community, I'm not the majority, 100% has to deal with housing. So we're either financing affordable housing or we're financing home ownership. Those are the two focuses of the bank. We also and I would say not totally new, but relatively new focus is also providing emergency funding to families so that they can avoid payday lenders.
Oh, yeah, good. The sharks, if you will.
Yes, the predatory lending. And we started to see, the fees and the interest, to be 400% interest that is being charged. We have an actual product that is taken off. It's called Cash Please. And it's basically providing similar funding, short-term funding, but at a rate of 21% interest as opposed to 400% interest that our community is receiving.
Yeah, I mean,
and
they're taking advantage of people. I mean, what a way to send people into poverty is 400%. Give me a break,
Right. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, so that has been our focus, and and even that, we're starting to see the impact that we're having, whether it's the, almost $1 billion that we have lent, but it's also the educational piece, because home ownership, it's so complex,
Yeah.
even if you're a banker, the amount of paper, the amount of legalese, the amount of regulation. And so really educating our community on the process is something that is very, very important to us.
Yeah, amortization schedule is one of the most confusing things ever, right? When you buy a house and you see this, you can get that printout list of every payment you're going to make, and it says that your loan, if you pay just the bottom interest and don't pay off the principal, this is how much the loan is. Where if you just pay one extra payment a year, it goes from 30 to 19 years, I think. If you pay your first and your last together, it squeezes it. I mean, there's so many things that you don't know about until somebody tells you.
Right.
And that's the part that comes all the way back around to the education point. We just got to tell people how to survive. Speaking of surviving, you like this transition. How can you survive as president and COO of this bank? That seems like those are two very big separate roles rolled up into one amazing Teri Williams.
Yeah. So yes, they are two different roles, but we really have a great team. Our team has been together for over 20 years.
Wow.
Yes. And that includes
that's commitment to the cause right there.
Yes. Chief Lending Officer, Chief Retail Officer, General Counsel, even our CFO, who retired, joined our board. So our newest member of our team is our CFO. But the previous one actually is still with us. And if it weren't for the team, I think one of the things that's underestimated by entrepreneurs is the importance of your team. No one does this alone. No one can be successful alone. And you know that because you work as a team, and it really, it's important to bring different experiences and different skill sets. And so for me, that's what has not only allowed us to survive, but thrive.
Getting back to the real quickly before we close out the episode, are K-12 districts coming to you? Do you go to them and they come to you, or you go to them and you say, look, if we don't start educating the youth here, we're going to have problems later on, and there's a recognition that needs to happen, or a convincing process that this needs to happen? Which one?
Yeah. So yes, they do come to us. In fact, that's the reason that I wrote the book, because they were coming to us wanting us to educate their kids about money. And I was looking for a book to use as a tool and couldn't find one. And so that's what led me to say, okay, I guess I have to write one.
There you go.
It's like,
among all your other really low-level responsibilities, right?
And I'm so glad I did, because I do feel like they're and I hate to put it this way, but I don't think anyone else could have written it. It really speaks to urban communities. Everybody else, you look at the books, they're like lemonade stands in front of white picket fences, in a suburban environment, but that's not our community. Yeah. The character in this book walks by check cashers. In fact, there's a check casher, experience in the book. So I think it's important to have different voices, and so that yes, they have come to us, and we have spoken in a voice that the kids can understand.
What else do you want to say about OneUnited Bank that you haven't said? Anything that's going on? Take it away. Open mic.
Yeah. So we actually are the first Black-owned bank to introduce an AI tool.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. It's called Wise One Insights, and it uses artificial intelligence to gather all of your banking information and give you insights on how you can make better financial decisions.
Boom. I mean, what a great way to use AI.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like a personal banking advisor that says, do this, don't do that, or move this and do that. And to the point where people are scared to call someone sometimes, right? Because there's almost this admission by calling somebody and asking for help, especially if you're not confident about your financial knowledge, that you feel dumb. Right. And it's easy to feel like to be made to feel dumb, or not even on purpose. When you start to talk to somebody who's in banking and investments, it's like they just, we'll move this here and we'll do this low impact fund and we'll do this. And then it's like, you're just, boom, you're wide eyed and so you go, you know what? I don't want to call anybody. But to have something like an AI there, I mean, what a huge...
Right in your phone. Yes. And, there's a lot of talk about AI and sort of, some concerns about it, but there's a lot of positive that can be gained from AI. And so this tool that we just launched this year, and our customers love it because it does give them insight. It's not an advisory like, oh, you should buy this stock, but it's more like, giving them advice and also giving them kudos for things that they have done. So if they haven't spent, they'll say, oh, last week you had 3 days where you didn't spend any money. Good job. Yeah. Yes. So it's basically a way, again, a practical way to teach. And so that is another thing that really makes OneUnited special, is that we're using technology for good.
Well, if you're watching Companies on the Move, you better be watching OneUnited Bank. And COO and President Teri Williams. Actually, let me outro you the right way, and I'm going to ask you to stick around for our subscribers just for a quick couple other questions that I've got a really important one to ask you. But for those of you that aren't subscribers that will become subscribers, this is the end of the episode with Teri Williams. She's President and COO of OneUnited Bank. Hopefully you had a little bit of fun on the podcast too, Teri, today.
Yes, I did. Thank you for having me. It was fabulous.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp. Higher education is evolving. And if you're in marketing and enrollment management, then you need to be at the Insights EDU conference.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Insights EDU 2025 is happening February 12 through 14 in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is your chance to explore the latest trends in higher education and discover new and innovative strategies to level up your program marketing and enrollment. Hear from some of the best speakers in the industry, from companies like Google, LinkedIn, Adobe, and more. Registration is now open, so secure your spot while early bird pricing is still available.
Hey, everybody. This is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Did you enjoy that conversation? I hope you did. Did you know that you can actually hear this conversation early on and ad-free? And you can also hear extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content. That's right, original content, and invites to special events, all while helping to sustain EdUp. Did you know that? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. To become a subscriber, go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com to subscribe to our free email newsletter to learn how you can get access. Again, that's edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com.